have different sort of mechanisms.
Darren gave that away and it wasn't even the answer?
Darren McPherson.
Good job.
What are the chances of getting different rule set servers / islands, PvP, free world build, role playing, things like that?
Those chances seem high.
Just the type of profound
ask again later.
Just remember that because we have a system where you can freely port between worlds, we just have to come up with a way to let people know, hey, the world that you're going to may be open PvP or something. So that's the main.
Have you guys talked about all about free world build?
Like for a Minecraft server, effectively, where you can just do
Right.
whatever you want. But I know right now, I know Dave's not happy with that, but I know that the duration only lasts about a minute to build a block.
Right. I feel like a puppet, but I think it's time for me to say no. He's channeling no. But
Well,
no.
there are technical
like free
reasons.
world in particular. You know, open world building and things like that.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There are, I mean,
There's no such. Really, you hate me that
much? There's a lot of things to discuss about that, and I'm not going to say no because Landmark isn't the type of game where we're ever going to stop building it. But there's a lot of economy reasons for avoiding a creative mode, and in addition, there's just a lot of reasons why we want people to be able to be on the islands where we need. Okay, a coherent answer would be better. Let's try that. All right. So we want all the kinds of different players to meet each other. And if everybody that just wants to build goes off into creative land, then there's no demand for resources, and there's no reason for people to go into the deep caves and face off against the monsters and find the cool things that builders want and need. And that's part of the game. We want that as part of a cohesive whole. So I'm not going to say there will never be those kinds of things. We certainly are talking about PvP islands, and we're certainly talking about some other things. But like as far as you mentioned also like a role-playing island. Well, we've already got Angel Bay and we've already got Science Fiction Bay. There's no reason why people can't arbitrarily set up an area to be a role-playing area and start attracting like-minded people. And that's really what we would rather people do than for us to segregate the population artificially.
All right, so you brought up that we're going to be having the teleporters and that there's a certain length where you can go between all of your different claims before there's an instantaneous teleport and then delayed teleport. Is there maybe the ability, if I have like one claim on one half of the island and the other claim on the other half of the island, to be able to teleport between on the same island?
So right now those need to be within the same claim expansion. The root and the claim expansions need to be connected together. So yeah, within the same buffer.
Yeah, but if we were to do something like that, it would be a different kind of
Correct.
system
It would
or
be a different
teleporter. It
system.
would be something different than what we've seen so far. She's too busy tweeting pictures of you guys.
So my question is about the select tool. I was curious if maybe eventually we can get select multiple materials at one time and maybe replace a material in there.
Yes, we have talked about that. So I think it would be very helpful. Obviously, it's something that a more advanced builder would be interested in. But the need for it, the desire, has been brought up on a number of occasions, and we have been thinking about it.
Yeah, and there was this is a great time to bring up something that we talked about at the table today at the dev brunch. I was going to tell Steve about it when we got back to San Diego. Was a question came up about the idea of when you go into tweak mode for placing a template, also being able to specify like changing out a material at that point in time. Like I've got a wall that's made out of stone and all these other things, but I want it to be obsidian, and using that resource instead of having to paint after the fact.
one material.
Yeah.
Like we had the first game.
It's just code.
We had that one.
Yeah, we did. In the very first version of this game, we had that functionality, and it's something we've been talking about.
Stupid.
Yeah, we got to find a way to make it easy to use. But yeah, it's the same sort of idea. Now I've told Steve I don't have to remember it anymore. And Darren.
Hi, my question is about the smoothing tool. The smallest box of smoothing tools is sometimes still too big do tiny little corners or some delicate work. Is there a possibility you can make it a little more smaller?
Not without some pretty non-intuitive UI, I suspect. Because right now, the reason why it has is because it has a buffer range around it, which is why it makes it usable everywhere. We have to have some way of specifying like where those buffer ranges are. It's a complicated question. The short answer is probably not. With polish and refinement, probably, but yeah.
Maybe when we look at the advanced stuff.
Yeah, possibly when some more features are needed.
Yeah, whatever we're going to call that voxel reactor fancy thing. If we ever do it, yeah.
I'm just curious about like the beginning. Was it always the intention to have Landmark be a standalone game built side by side with Next, or did it just kind of spawn from it one day and you just ran with it?
Well, we've talked about that a few times, but the answer is no. It wasn't always our intention. You know, we were building this game, and it was a group of about 8 or 10 of us that were sitting around when we were starting creating these tools that we're playing with them and seeing how fun they were to use, and we realized that we had an opportunity to do something we'd never done before. And that's what Landmark was born from. It wasn't an idea from the very beginning of EQ Next. That we started with Next, and then Landmark just made sense as we started to see the pieces coming together. So, yeah, it's just much like what you guys do with your emergent content and things you do in the game. This sort of emerged from what we were doing in that same sort of fashion. Thank you.
Okay, so when you guys were talking about moving platforms before, is it possible to put an object, or even a moving object, on a moving platform?
If that object is you.
That's it right now.
Yeah, right now you can't do that, but that would be a great thing to be able to tie things together in that sort of way. You know, put a flinger on top of a moving platform. It's just a little bit of code, I think.
Just.
I get that one every day.
They're all great ideas, right? It's just, what's the priority? What do you want to give up?
When I used to be an engineer, I used to use a phrase that my producers hated, which was, yes, that's possible with enough time and resources. And they hated it just as much as I hate it when Steve tells me that now.
That one's super hard. It's not likely to happen right away.
Yeah, it'll be a long-term sort of thing.
So with the new games coming in the claims for PvP, or even just allowing for in the future like speedruns, things like that, will we have the ability to disable the use of grapple hooks on our claims?
So good question. We've addressed that with a couple conversations we've had, but it's nice to have it in this arena. Grappling hooks, the use of grappling hooks within combat is changing. It's part of our balance process now. I can describe what our balance is currently, which is the minute you take damage or enter into combat, you have a 5-second refresh placed on your grappling hook. You have to be 10 seconds, thank you, 10 seconds.
That's awesome, all of a sudden just like...
Multiple of 5, easily to get.
It's upheaval, Darren. It's called upheaval.
Yeah, I knew that. So 10 seconds is applied to that, and you have to be outside of combat. We experienced some of the same things that you can understand would happen. People Batmaning away in the middle of combat, you can never fight them back.
Yeah, it was like jumping puzzle in my hand. I don't want somebody to go jump from the bottom to the top and be done.
Right. So outside of combat for puzzle games, we have been talking about being able to disable that wholesale on a claim.
Hold on one second. We're getting another mic. Go ahead.
Hey,
And can you hear us again? Yeah, all right, we're back. So, did you have more to say there?
No, that was it, yeah. But yes, we need to do that because there's going to be some game types that you won't want to grapple hook at all.
Right, and we talked about it in the panel as well. Once you guys see what's out there and as we start to add to it, if you guys have ideas of things that you want to do, even better yet, once you guys have ideas for things you want to do for games, let us know. That this is exactly why we're releasing it early and iterating on it, so that when you think of something like, I'd love to be able to make a game that you can't use grappling hooks, if we don't give you that option, it's something we can add. Yep, thank you.
This is a question regarding props, and I have to use an example from EQ2. For instance, the props that are like railings and that, circular things that match. I'm wondering if there is any chance of getting something like that that's going to match a lot of the materials, so that we could do things like nice smooth railings and circular staircases without the big headache or distortion of using actual voxels. You'd still have hopefully a fast load time because they're actual props.
If I understand the question, you're asking for
Like the
modular
railings.
pieces that
Yes.
can be used to, and that's something that I love the modular prop pieces. I think that that's amazing. We want to be mindful of the fact that we don't want to discourage people from building things with voxels by making them out of props. But yes, we absolutely can build those things, and we plan to.
And we plan on letting Player Studio folks start building props in the future, which will greatly increase our catalog of available props. Once you made all of you talented folks start having the ability to do that.
The only thing to remember with stuff like that is that it will be, at some point in time, because of the need to create them in very small modules, for instance, a stairway railing cannot be attached to an angle, right? You're going to need to have the railing top, you're going to have all the railing posts separately, otherwise you'll have to recreate it for every single potential angle of staircase. We will not be doing that.
No, and I
Right?
understood
Because
that.
there'd be a family of hundreds of individual modules.
But we're putting in bundling into Player Studio on the 27th. And bundling will how many of you have seen that MDK dungeon set that's in the Player Studio right now? I mean, it's really kick-ass. If that person is here, please stand up, because that's amazing. Okay, they're not here. We can talk behind their back now. Yeah, but Anzu put it together, and it's incredible. But it's got like, what, 45 pieces in it?
Something like 27 right now, I think.
Yeah, it's got a ton of pieces. So what you'll be able to do is you have to list them still individually, but once they're listed individually and accepted into the program, you can bundle them into a single bundle and sell it as a bundle. So now Anzul can sell his MDK set as a big bundle, and people will know that they can buy that and then have all those separate modular pieces and put them together. So if anybody's interested in how modular pieces can work, take a look at that set, because it's brilliant. It's really well done, and it shows you how modular approaches to stuff can be done. And I think my personal opinion is that will be very successful in Player Studio going forward.
And my thing was,
Sorry about my voice. I seem to have just lost it now.
My part was the frustration so many people are having with trying to create a true circular staircase. And I saw a marvelous one made out of glass tiles, but of course, it's awkward to move up, and that's why I was asking about, the possibility of getting something like that in other materials.
Definitely something that we want to try to support. Have we announced when the bundles are going in? 27th. I didn't hear you say the date, so it's in the 27th update that comes at the end of the 27th. That just happens.
What's the other players do? Andy, are you here?
It's follow.
Follow. That's
Yeah. So you can follow creators.
Yeah, if you don't know about that, follows are coming on the 27th also. So if you think somebody's really cool builder, you can follow. You can when you go into the gallery, you can click on their name and follow them, so that anytime they put something in as a claim or into into Player Studio, you'll get a notification. You can also do that with types of tags. So you can say, like, show me all the blue stone medieval castles, and every time somebody puts one in, you'll get a notification. It's kind of cool.
Really quick, because I just found this out, Anzul is listening in the chat, so hi! And we wanted to do a quick shout out to Twitch and thank Knoober for streaming this panel. So hi, Twitch audience. And thank you for doing that for us. I just wanted to let you guys know that he is listening, so we can't talk about him behind his back.
So Anzul is here.
So he is here.
At least we said good things.
You can always talk behind people's back when you say good things. No one ever really cares about that.
I hope you guys don't mind. It's actually kind of a segmented question, one question, two parts. And it's all, when are you planning to implement? And we are really looking forward to optimization is a big one. And if you guys covered this in earlier panels, I'm sorry.
The answer is
Flying, soon
all the
TM.
time.
Soon TM.
No, all the time. We're doing it all the time.
It's at the top of my list of things, because when I read forum posts about the game, win on Steam, I read through all that stuff, and all positive comments. The only negative comments we ever read are about performance, being able to play games, so it's really high on my list.
And just so I can back Steve up on that, I made Steve a promise that as soon as we were done here, that he could have a small number of his engineers focused entirely on optimizations, and I promised not to pull them off onto other things that we need to do so that we can tackle some of the longer types of optimizations. So they're happy.
The world knows.
I was sitting here thinking, well, I could make him a liar.
Yes, he can.
You know who to pressure now.
But I'm not responsible for that.
I won't.
At Dave Georgeson on Twitter.
Blame Dave 2014.
All right, and the other ones were flying, guilds, and being
Flying
able
guilds?
to no, flying, guilds, and having the copper taken directly from what we have in copper, so that we don't have to manually pay our upkeep. And so those were the ones I listed out.
Yes. That really is like 4 different questions. Yeah. So, yeah, because optimizations and guilds and flying and upkeep. Well, those are all things that we're working on, much like optimizations, and we will get to them as quickly as we can. That makes sense. But some of those things you can expect to hear more about in the near future once the tournament stuff is done. And the guilds went in, of course. They went in the week before. No, 2 weeks before SOELive. The 6th. Yeah. No. So guilds went in on the 6th for the first iteration on it. Yeah. So those are in. So,
We did that just for you.
And you got this big people, right? All right. Thank you.
So the problem I've seen or having is at guildies, they want to play the game, they want to build. They see voxelmancy, they see all these great builds going on, and you say, I could never do that. What do I say to them? How to engage them?
Do you play an FPS? What do you play besides Landmark? Are you the best player at it? Do you still play it? What the hell? I'm just saying, like, building as a skill, it's not not everybody is going to be the top of the ring. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, like, like when I play FPSs, and I regularly get my ass handed to me. So it's still fun to me because every once in a while I kill somebody and I go, and it's a good time. But and building, I build stuff and I like it and it's really cool. But you kind of have to be your own judge. Thanks. I don't know that. I think it's just trashed. That's why we're putting in so many different kinds of game into Landmark. So now that we have PvP and now that we have the platformers and now that we have all these other things, even if you just wanted to build, there's so many different kinds of things that you can build now that you can rise to the top in those different areas. And you can play those different kinds of games and you'll be able to fight against monsters and explore down into the caves. So there'll be many more ways for people to win than what was previously available, which was, if you weren't the best builder, you kind of felt like, maybe this isn't my game. Now there's lots of flavors for you to experiment with, and we hope that people will be able to find a way to feel victorious now that's not just building. Because honestly, there's no way any of us devs are going to be as good as some of the guys out there in the community. We're not going to dedicate that amount of time to it, and much less just the pure ability. Some people are just really good, and the same is true of FPSs, and the same is true of role-playing games, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of the answer. But you see where we're going?
It's part of the answer. I mean, for those of you who went to our building panel, we are also working very hard to make the tools more intuitive. Voxel, it should be limited by your creativity, which in my case is mostly what it is. Not the tool set, right?
True. We're working to remove a lot of the obfuscation with, you've got to hit random hotkey to change the tool mode, and that's not displayed anywhere. Only the best people know that that exists.
Well, I mean, my best example is microvoxels. players discovered that because our tools didn't really surface that very well. It wasn't that we didn't know the engine could do that. It was that we just hadn't built tools specifically for that. So as we build more tools, refine that system, it's all prioritization as to when that happens. But more and more of that stuff that is now voxelmancy will be just right there in the menu instead.
And we've done some of that. What was the improvement?
What was it right before when we allowed rotatable templates that validate? Well, when we add areas of material, roaming vectors helped a lot because you could get stuff with less divots. But when we get around to adding areas of material, you'll never have to make a anti-voxel ever again, because you can just make a micro-voxel and paint it with air. It's the same damn thing. So a lot of these tricks will go away as we improve the tools.
One of the things that I said in the building panel, I basically stood up while we were doing the Q&A and said how many people in the room would consider themselves builders. And there's a certain number of people raised their hands. And I asked how many of those people would consider themselves voxelmancers. And very few people raised their hand. Next year, I'm going to ask the same question. I want to see a lot more hands. And that's our goal. Yeah. Simple, straightforward, making everything easier. What does the P key do? I want everyone to know because it's right there in front of you when you pick up the problem. What does, how do I orient something? How do I create something? What does this toggle do? It's all there, easy to read, all the shapes, all the things that are arcane and esoteric to the greatest extent that we possibly can. We want to surface that stuff to you so you understand it.
And can you repeat after me? I am Batman.
Why does he use that voice?
Sounds super creepy.
Thank you.
Bane, I'm after you.
Yes, let's go to the question.
My daughter gets stage fright, so she's asked me to ask for you, and she read that y'all want somebody to try to stump you. So her question to try to stump you is, how many minerals and ores are there in the game?
That's a good design question that I don't have an answer for.
We have developed a secret method of information transfer, like hand signals and stuff, with the designers. So this is, the answer was, I'm not sure how to interpret that. I'll leave it up to you.
The database knows.
The data monkeys know. It wasn't the data hamsters. That's what
I do have a factoid about it that isn't the same answer, but it's interesting. Is that since the game launched, there have been 4.5 billion resources mined.
I think that actually that's a pretty good stump. I could tell you how many. I know how many materials we have, but not how many ores and minerals. So. Nice hat.
Sorry, my voice is gone as well. But with the recent introduction of guilds, do you have any intention of giving us like guild islands and massive guild queens with shared resources and things that we can make people, especially with PvP?
That would be great. So yeah, that is a superb idea. We have talked about any number of things with regard to separating islands, whether that be for separate types of games, certainly for different groups, a community like a guild having their own little place to call their own. Thank you.
It's you again. You don't get another number.
Oh, this is a two-parter of the same subject. We're all looking forward to PvP environments that are being destructible. Are the toughnesses of different materials going to be very obvious, or is there going to be some way to show us what the toughness is?
They'll be obvious once you learn what the materials are. I mean, it's not obvious. It's not. Well, you will learn. You will learn them. So iron will have a specific toughness. Stone will have a specific toughness, and you, as the arena creator, will know those things and have to determine. And your players will come in and they'll have to learn that as well. But that's consistent across the world.
Yeah. But the second part, are we going to be able to tweak the toughness values of different materials in certain places so that an obsidian wall could crumble in one specific section like sand?
So what we prefer is that that be consistent across all materials. So when you see obsidian, it's always obsidian, just so that you don't get confused. So you can learn what the lexicon of material hardness is.
The real problem with that sort of approach would be, think about it from the perspective of like a dungeon master or a game creator. You would be losing in your own build the ability to remember what was what. We would have to build separate viewers, like material strength viewers and things of that nature. It would not be practical. Where we would do something like that, we would want a material that looked different, right? So that everyone, not only the creator, but also those people experiencing the content would know the difference.
But one thing that goes along with that you mentioned in the building tools one, which is using the volumes to theoretically be able to create indestructible areas. So a flag for destructible or not, but not necessarily to change that kind of toughness stuff.
And so along with that, it allows you to create areas that destruct in certain ways to allow gameplay to continue on.
Once we have selectable volumes with different properties, there's a lot of stuff we could add in that kind of a system. What all of those properties will be at this point, we don't.
It'll be what's intuitive and what makes sense, and we'll address that when we get there.
It's certainly possible, but those are
A lot of factors.
Thank you.
So, one of my favorite things in EverQuest was finding all those hidden walls or trapdoors where you could run up to something and pass through it and know, hey, there's this whole secret network behind an area. So obviously now we have water where players can pass through voxels. Is there any hope of seeing either more materials or going back to the question about setting things differently based on the selection volume, the ability to set areas as something that you can pass through?
Yeah, I mean, that would be my preference, is once we get the volumes in place, that you would be able to specify that this area allows players to pass through it. I guess we have some things that have been discovered recently that we'll probably have to fix. About having
right now you can actually do
voxels.
that by inverting voxels, but that's a bug.
Yeah.
It's not intended. That's one we'll actually have to probably fix, right? Because it'll cause other problems.
That's a good question.
I'm not doing that run again. So, where's the little girl who stumped them? Hi. I'm not doing that run again, so since you did it first, I have prizes for you.
Giving people presents on your birthday.
That's what hobbits do.
Okay, when PvP match is going on a claim, are you going to disable the ability of the owner of the claim to build on it so that they cannot suddenly turn the ground underneath the spawn point of the other team into lava?
Jeff would totally do that.
It's intended functionality.
So the question was that during a game you wouldn't be able to change the materials, right?
Well, no, it's like what's to stop a builder that's creating a PvP arena from putting the spawn point in an area that's either inaccessible or over lava or submerged in water so that they drown or whatever.
So one of the things that Steve insisted on when we told him what our plans were for PvP and we started enacting them was that we turn off the ability to build in any claim during a PvP match. So, you can imagine a situation where many people have permissions. There could be all sorts of things where, somebody throws a template up around let's say a control point, or blocks someone off, or deletes a piece of a bridge that they couldn't otherwise destroy. Not that I ever.
Not that Jeff would ever. Oh, wait, not that he would do it every time. He only does that all.
I have an ingrained sense of fairness. That is totally not
We actually work with him, so we know the truth.
Yes. I have a question regarding the teleporters. Will you allow teleporters to be made that conserve momentum? I.e. like Portal, and being able to go through one, if you fall through a teleporter, you come shooting out of the next one, and being able to maybe angle teleporters so I can shoot across the map if I so desire and don't care if I land really hard.
Take that with Steve, because that's a technical problem.
Well, I mean, it's certainly possible. The current teleporters do not do that. Now that we have the system in place, adding new ones, it's just a matter of desire and what do the players want and how does it get preferred. I think it's possible.
I'm not suggesting this, but it was a fun conversation. One player was saying it would be cool if they could use a grapple hook through the teleporter to grab another spot and pull themselves
Don't worry, I had your back during that conversation. I told them that I could feel
by proxy.
I could feel you cringing that somebody asked that question.
I could feel you cringing.
Now, don't get me wrong, there's some really cool stuff we want to do with grappling hooks that you haven't seen yet, but yeah.
Maybe not that one.
Not that one.
Well, hello.
I think Nicholas wants to know when lightsabers are going in.
Oh yeah, well, we talked about Jedis in one of the panels.
So my question was, if I'm setting up a themed area, do you have any plans to limit, maybe like sci-fi stuff in the fantasy zone, things like that, being able to basically say certain types of weapons are not usable in there, you can't use modern weapons in this area or vice versa?
So there's a couple of questions in there, and one of which we've talked about a few times, which is like the idea of limiting what somebody can do on a particular island in Landmark. Like this is a fantasy island or a sci-fi island. Fantasy island. I did not think about
This is how you know it's Sunday of SOELive.
The real key is that with that's a ton of policing that is something that we wouldn't want to take on. But being able to make suggestions, or even one of the things we talked about at the very beginning, if you guys remember, at the very start of talking about Landmark, we thought about the islands having things that gave you an indication of what was prevalent on that island.
Yes.
So like on the island select screen, it might say that there are these categories of things, like this is predominantly fantasy or sci-fi or whatever, so that you could find it when you wanted to go looking for those things. Or I want to make a claim on some with other people who are doing sci-fi, making it easy to find that sort of a thing. Now the other question is about on a particular claim, like more specific to like the PvP and everything.
Battle, can I say this is a modern battle or this is a fantasy battle?
We haven't really talked about that, but it's an interesting question that we need to go back to the design team and they need to have conversations about it. Michael hasn't, come here Michael, stand up. Everybody, Michael Mann. This is why we make everybody come to the panel.
I've been set up, maybe it's amazing. It's totally amazing. So we do plan on allowing people to put tags on different sorts of things, and when you create rule set games, we're going to be
That's okay. You'll be a real Jedi. Well, you can build your own.
But we do plan on allowing more and more rule sets over time, and flagging particular items as particular themes does not seem out of bounds for what we're talking about doing. We already plan on flagging certain. Well, we do flagging things on the marketplace as fantasy or as other things. So doing that with items doesn't seem crazy out of bounds.
Sorry, we were picking up lightsaber.
When we, on the first week that we conceived of this game, we had an idea of having map overlay interfaces so that we could take all that tag information you guys are putting on your claims and being able to show you at a glance what the population of the island was mostly building. Because what we wanted you to do was to be able to go, hey, I really like building sci-fi stuff, and not have to go to Twitter to find out there is a sci-fi bay. You'd be able to just kind of skim through all the different islands on all the different worlds and be able to find that stuff. Now, we have opted to work on the core systems and not do that map interface stuff, but it's absolutely still on our list. Because we think that it's really important for the social integration, the social structure, for you guys to be able to find like-minded folks. So that's still something that we really want to do and make it really easy for you to see cosmos views and world views and island views and that sort of stuff. So the map has a long way to go beyond what it is right now.
Thank you. Sorry about the lightsaber.
So I was curious about attached claims and game modes. Will the game modes permeate through all the claim, or will it just be a single claim that's placed on?
So right now, what will happen is, and we'll have to make sure that we have enough time between now and the 27th. But the plan is that you will flag each attached claim discreetly with a prop, a game marker that looks like a pawn, and those will then be included in the game. And if you don't mark it, then it won't be. So you can have a house that's attached to 2 or 3 attachments, and only the attachments are PvP enabled, and the other one's just your house.
So it'd be like picking and choosing.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, thank you. We have about 9 minutes for questions left. Sorry, guys.
All right. Regarding the Steam client, are there planned upgrades, fixes, and things like that for better integration for screenshots, do it straight out of Landmark and have it auto-published to Steam? The crash or closeout takes 2 minutes before you can restart the Landmark client through Steam. Where on the blueprint is that kind of stuff?
Either you or me, Steve.
Well, I mean, the crashing taking 2 minutes is something that's news to me. It doesn't take that long on my machine, but we can certainly work on that. In terms of the Steam integration, right now we don't have any plans to enhance beyond what's there right now, but if you have requests, please let us know.
Yeah, it's definitely stuff we can look at, and we want to be as integrated as we can be with the features that make sense, and just let us know if there's something that we've missed, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Steam specific stuff. I mean, we want to be as integrated with Steam as we can.
If you want to make sure
there's several of us that are curious about the updates for trade skills and whether they have progressed beyond the coming in. Well, Dave's tag still says June, even though it's listed sometime after August.
You have a year? No, I fixed that. It doesn't say that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I fixed it. It doesn't have a date anymore.
It's being worked on, and we know it's something that's important. So as soon as we have a firm date, when those things come out, we'll make sure you guys.
Okay, so we haven't gotten anything else.
Well, we don't have a better date to give you, but we have been working on it. It's not like it's just sitting there, nothing's happening. We just have to get to the place where we can release it.
There was this giant train called SOELive chasing us for the last 2 months, and now we're going to go home and reprioritize.
And as Terry mentioned and Dave mentioned, we are working on as many of the courses as we can. We got crafting to a state where it was functional, and there's some customization involved, and then we moved on to things like combat. We need to get all those core systems in so they're functional, and then we can move on to iterating on the systems that are already in the game.
All right, so one of the things I'm really looking forward to in Landmark is the dynamic water. We got kind of a look at that in one of the panels. And one of the things they showed was you drop the water atop something, you had to watch it go down. We just want to make sure that there's a way to get the water back to the top again. We need water pumps.
Bucket.
Yeah, there's a bucket.
I said you would.
Hi, Gary, everybody. Just a quick tools question. I've been interested in having the ability to have continuous grab on a selection tool, or like when you're moving an item and you get to the edge of the screen, you got to let go and then move back over. So if you had a continuous grab, you could just go off the screen and it would continue in that direction.
Scaling it in, but
yeah,
we've talked about that a couple times.
There's a lot of 3D graphics programs which have that continuous grab capability. That makes it very easy to manipulate stuff.
Yeah, there's 2 things we talk about all the time. Scaling it in, but undo for selections. Or redo.
It's all polished up. As soon as possible. Good time. I don't have it on my schedule right now.
That's my fault. I take the blame for that one, but we'll talk about it and see what we can do and where we can prioritize that sort of thing.
Missed the building tools when I went to another one. I feel so my question was, any chance we could get a line tool deletion? And I had to credit my wife with that. I thought it was kind of great.
You're talking about having the line tool spit out error instead of
using the line tool to mark.
Right. I mean, the main challenge with that is mostly a UI one. Like, how do you know where the endpoints of the line are when they're embedded in things?
Would that be air?
Well, except that
Air
doesn't
isn't
work.
really a thing.
Yeah.
There's a suite of modifications to our tools that don't really, I mean, it's sort of this broad heading that we call painting air.
There's a way. Okay, there's a way to do that. Speak to Tenma.
Have you done a video?
Well, I mean,
Do a video and send it to me on how to do that.
Steve,
Give him the microphone.
Because I might be wrong. It happened once.
I have it written on my board.
If we have air as a material, you could use the line tool to drop a line of air.
Absolutely, you could, and it's but it's just a question of how do you start and end properly when it's embedded in the middle of something.
Right.
Because you're not in there.
Right. So, and that's why we don't have air as a material yet, because there's lots of those little exceptions about what happens when voxels are up against air, because it's very technical. It's awesome, but it's very technical. But we do lots of different things. We handle air differently. And so there's lots of cleanup to do before we can have air as a material. Air is very complex.
Maybe even 3 kinds of air, actually, but you haven't seen the third one yet.
Mystery air. Spooky air.
Window, and to scroll down, can you make it like, right now you have to press the arrow, goes up and down. Is there any way like it's kind of continuously keep going when you click on those bar?
Well, you can use the mouse wheel to scroll up and down if you're hovering over the right area.
Do you mean grab the bar and be able to move it up and down? Is that what you mean?
But Jeff,
Yeah,
you
to
should
go
talk
up
about
and
the
down.
updates for
Right now what I
live.
do is click on arrows to go down and to go up.
You want to click and hold on the arrows?
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, we can talk to the UI guys when we get back.
But I mean,
But all that all the interface is going away.
Oh no, we'll take a look and make sure. Yeah, we do that. Okay.
So one thing to keep in mind about the materials interface is that's actually going away. So it's going to work differently than it does right now, and it should be a lot more intuitive. You should be able to navigate forward and back through it. Everything should be tagged and selectable and searchable to make it a little bit simpler to find stuff.
We have 2 minutes left.
I know we're short on time, so I'm going to limit myself to one suggestion. Gemstones. Powdered gemstones. Same fiber color, same texture as granite, but perfectly flat and smooth, and none of those facets that you get when you make a large area of gemstone.
So new material suggestion, Rosie?
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
Thank you.
Plus, I mean, we want to give you materials of various colors, blue marbles, green marbles, things of that nature. Those are all on the list for what's coming in the future.
This was already kind of touched on, but I know for myself and a lot of friends who come in and play it, when they first get in the game, they're just kind of like, what the heck do I do? And they stand there and everybody gave beta keys to already stopped playing, so they just felt lost and overwhelmed by having to go to YouTube or Twitch or somewhere else to learn how to actually get in the game and do something.
So we tried to tackle that with the Getting Started guide that we put in several months ago. And the intention is that when achievements come online, which will be sometime shortly, that you'll have basically a to-do list, a number of things that need to happen. When I say sometime shortly, I mean sometime between now and the end of time, I think. So shortly is a lot. I can't make promises for Steve.
Shortly takes longer than soon.
Yeah. So, but then you will have a not necessarily a tutorial, because we don't like that, but we want to give you some directive on what you can do. Oh, you just harvested some wood. Did you know you could craft with that? And so we'll point you in the various directions. But the Getting Started guide should go a long way to explaining how to jump into the game. And we update that with every update. So, for instance, we just updated it with all the combat stuff that's going in.
If we have enough time for one more question, I'm sorry to everybody else that's in line, but you can still catch us. We're here for the rest of today. And this is the last question we're going to be able to take.
And I'll be real quick because you want to be done. It's about grapples in combat. What if I want to grapple my opponent, pull them to me, or me to them, whoever's like
Grappling of players. The grappling hook is not a weapon. That doesn't mean that you won't have functionality given to you by a specific item type when we can support that functionality or ability that comes from an item that would facilitate that thing, but the grappling hook won't do that. So being able to pull somebody to you would be outside of the grappling hook. It would be tied to an ability. That would be on that.
Thank you. So don't leave yet. We have one thing left. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking everything. Okay, so
hey, dude.
We wanted to do something special for the end of this Q&A panel. We actually have a gift to give out, and for those of you that manage, I'm sorry if you didn't make it up to get your questions. We gave you a piece of paper that has a number on it. We're about to do the randomizer over here. See, this way, it's just going to be the numbers. We had it written so that we can do it with just the people who are in here. It's the numbers for the questions that were asked, and we're going to randomize for it. And do we have the gift so I can make sure that I can read it correctly? Because trust me, if you win it, you're going to be happy. Well, you might be happy. Maybe. Maybe you won't be. But when this is over. Come see me with your number, and just need you to fill out the bottom of this. What you're going to be getting is an NVIDIA GTX 770 graphics card valued at $350. And we have it, so you'll be able to take it from the bag. I'll just need you to fill out this piece of paper. So if Colette is ready over there, she'll run the randomizer.
I never win anything.
Is it going to work?
Gotta click spin first.
Hold on. We tested this. It worked.
We tested this. It worked. And it was awesome.
Yeah, it worked on Steve's computer now.
Channeling me now.
Hold on.
Is it because something's up on the wall?
Yeah, I think you like
Yeah, hold on. Sorry. Give us 1 second.
Write your name on your tag, fold them up, and hand them to you, and you
Hold
pull
on,
one out.
Hold on 1 second. we have 3 minutes left before EQ2 needs the stage. Hold on. Just 1 second. And we got this.
There goes.
There goes. And the number is 22. Who won? 22. All right. So, thank you guys. We appreciate everybody coming out for the whole weekend. And for the live streaming over here, I really do want to shout out to the entire team, everybody who plays the game, everybody who makes Landmark, and soon, EverQuest Next, the amazing things that they're going to be. So thanks to everybody. Thanks for joining us. And next time, don't stay out there in Twitch land. Join us at SOELive 2015. Thanks, guys.